Metroid Prime Hunters for the Nintendo DS is a first-person shooter that's based off the Metroid Prime games from the Nintendo GameCube. Once again, you'll take the role of Samus Aran as you explore this unique galaxy that consists of a lava planet, an ice planet, a tech station, and you'll be hunting down artifacts called octoliths. The octoliths are these special artifacts that hold the key to unlocking this secret power within the universe. And the other bounty hunters are also after it, so you'll need to collect them all, keep it away from them. And of course, along the way, you'll be unlocking missile upgrades, new guns, energy tank upgrades, and fighting some cool bosses along the way as well. Metroid Prime Hunters is pretty unique in that it keeps the first-person shooter perspective from the Metroid Prime games on the GameCube, but controlling this on the DS might seem a little tricky at first. There are a couple different control methods that are included in the game, but the best one has you using either the stylus or the thumb pad to aim your gun, and you also use the face buttons to move around, and then the shoulder buttons used for firing, while you double tap on the screen to jump. It seems a little awkward at first and it takes a little while to get used to, but once you get used to it, you'll find that there's really a lot of precision in this method of control, and you have a lot of control over your aiming, which is important because in this game, there's no lock-on like there was in the previous Metroid Prime games. As you play through the single-player campaign, you'll explore different planets and collect octoliths after taking out some bounty hunters and a boss. The level design of the game is a little bit more linear than you've come to expect from Metroid games. There isn't this kind of organic branching level design that you're used to. Instead, the pathways feel a little bit more straightforward. There'll be occasions where you run across doors that you can't open until you get a gun later. So there is that same backtracking that you're used to from previous Metroid games. But for the most part, you're going to go into a planet, take out the boss, take an octolith with you, and then there's going to be a countdown sequence where you got to escape the planet, while the clock is ticking. Metroid Prime Hunters for DS has a pretty extensive multiplayer system. You can play in single card or multi-card mode locally, as in the same room or so with your friends. If you have multi-card, there are a lot of different modes available to you, like Capture the Flag, or King of the Hill modes, or a mode called Prime Hunters, which is kind of like Assassin, where one person tries to hold the Prime Hunter title for a certain amount of time while others track him down to kill him and take that title. These are all playable for up to 4 players. And you can also include bots in multi-card matches if you don't have enough friends to fill out the 4 slots. And there are quite a few maps available, a couple dozen, and these are all based off of levels or rooms that are available in the single-player game. There's also online play available through Nintendo Wi-Fi. And in Metroid Prime Hunters, if you play against random people, the only mode available to you is Deathmatch. You just jump in. The system searches out some other players who are also looking to play. They match you up, you vote on a map, and then you go. If you want to play the other modes online, you have to play against friends and rivals that you meet online. If you play with your friends, you're going to need to get their friend code and input it just like in other Nintendo Wi-Fi enabled games. But if you do that and you go through the trouble, you do get to play all the other game modes online, which is cool. And you also get to select from all the different bounty hunters that you meet in the game. And each of them has special abilities, different alt modes, and they all have different strengths, which kind of keeps the gameplay fresh. Being a first-person shooter, Metroid Prime Hunters is in full 3D, which is pretty impressive for the Nintendo DS, which isn't necessarily known for its technical prowess. You'll find that the art style is pretty reminiscent of the Metroid Prime games on the GameCube, but because of the low resolution of the screen and some of the limitations of the system, you'll find at times that the graphics look a little grainy. And this is most noticeable when you're trying to engage in a long-range battle with another player. But other than that, the characters in the game animate nicely and everything looks pretty good, has a good amount of detail. And there are also a lot of cool cutscenes to enjoy throughout the game that you can unlock as you get through the campaign. And these stretch across both screens or utilize both screens for different camera angles. The sound effects are also great in the game. You'll recognize a lot of the music jingles and some of the tunes that are kind of remixed for the game. The multiplayer aspect to Metroid Prime Hunters is really its prime attraction. Because of the skill and the fluidity involved with the control scheme, it's really satisfying to get in multiplayer matches with your friends, or challenge other people online. There's a pretty good single-player component too, but it doesn't have quite the same quality level that you'd come to expect from previous Metroid games. But it's still pretty worthwhile to play through by itself, and combined with the great presentation, it's pretty easy to recommend Metroid Prime Hunters to anyone who likes action games.
Great!